Assalamu alaikum, boys and girls. Have you had a good day so far? Your day is just about to get a little bit better because we are going to read another story here on Storytime. And today, our story is again about the Prophet Yusuf. You may remember that we spoke about Prophet Yusuf last time in the previous episode. And today we're going to continue the story. Are you sitting comfortably? You might remember that at the end of the last story, Prophet Yusuf had been thrown in a well by his brothers, and he had been saved and sold onto a prince called Al-Aziz in Egypt. Prophet Yusuf lived with Al-Aziz for a number of years. But then after some years, although Prophet Yusuf was completely innocent, Al-Aziz imprisoned the Prophet Yusuf, so he threw him in prison. In prison, Prophet Yusuf met two prisoners. They had been servants of Al-Aziz in the royal court, but they had both displeased the king, and so the king had thrown them into the prison. When they met Prophet Yusuf, they told Prophet Yusuf that they had had strange dreams, and they were not sure what the meaning of the dream was. One of them had dreamt that there were 7 lean cows, so 7 very thin cows, eating up 7 very fat cows, and 7 dried up ears of corn, replacing 7 juicy green ears of corn. Nobody knew what the dream meant, but Prophet Yusuf was able to interpret the dream. He said that what the dream meant was that in the land of Egypt there would be 7 years of prosperity. So 7 years when there would be enough money and enough food for everybody. But then after these 7 years, there would be 7 years of famine and of poverty and of not enough food for everybody. The king heard that Nabi Yusuf had explained the dreams and had given them this idea about what would happen in Egypt. And the king was very pleased. He appointed Nabi Yusuf to look after all the food supplies in Egypt and to make sure that the food supply would be planned in such a way that they would be able to get through the 7 years of hardship as well. Nabi Yusuf left prison and became the most trusted minister to the king of Egypt. The 7 good years passed by, just as Nabi Yusuf had predicted, and then came the 7 hungry famine years, when no crops would grow and everybody would be hungry. But luckily, because Nabi Yusuf had been in charge of the food supply for the whole time, he had been able to save up enough food to get them through these years. Back in the land of Canaan, Nabi Yaqub and his sons were hit by the famine as well. So his sons, who are, as you will remember, Nabi Yusuf's brothers, travelled to Egypt in search of some food because they were so hungry and they had famine back in their country. When they reached the storehouses of Egypt, they saw Nabi Yusuf. They did not recognize him, but Nabi Yusuf recognized them. However, he did not tell them who he was, and he did not tell them that it was them who had thrown him into the well all those years ago. Instead, he received them honorably. He asked them about their families, and he gave them enough food that they would need, and he did not even take any money from them for it. The brothers made many further visits back to Egypt to get more and more food. And one day Nabi Yusuf did tell them who he was, and he forgave them for their crime of throwing him into the well. He asked them to please bring his father so that he could see his father. Finally, Nabi Yusuf was reunited with his father, and he hugged him and he embraced him, and he gave the father the honor of sitting on the throne. When the brothers and the father all saw what high position Nabi Yusuf had reached, they all said, wow, we're so impressed. And Nabi Yusuf said, see, this is the dream that I had all those years ago, when I told you that I saw the sun and the moon and the stars all prostrating before me. And in this way, my dream has come true. That's the end of the story. So did you see how Nabi Yusuf led such an interesting life? From being his dad's favourite son, to spending some time in the bottom of a well, to then being sold and taken to a different country, living in prison, and then rising to the status of the greatest minister of Egypt, before then being reunited with his family. Wasn't that such a great story? And it reminds us that if you have a dream, and if you work hard, and if you keep your trust in Allah, inshallah, all your dreams will become true. So, ma'a salama, and thank you for listening to the story, and see you again next time.